If we go back to our graph where the x-axis is the story timeline and the y-axis is the character's emotional state of being, then along the x-axis we have the start, midpoint, and end of the story. And on the y-axis we have the character at their peak, a neutral state, and a negative or absolute low point. And as the story progresses, we assess the character's emotional state of being at each time interval. And a U-shaped character arc would look something like this, where the character starts at a peak, dips all the way down to their absolute rock bottom, and then rises steeply to realize their full potential once again at their peak. On first inspection, it looks as though the character just ends up where they started, with a whole lot of drama in between. But the truth is that they could be two completely different people if we'd met them in different stories. But we'll see that what's different about the character between the start and the end of the story is perspective. A U-shaped arc or a V-shaped arc is probably one of the most transformative of all character storylines, especially if all of this happens within one book. And the journey or the plot or the drama, whatever you want to call it, arises from the character's inability to adapt and change early on in the story. In other words, they just can't get out of their own freaking way. The archetype that would suit a U-shaped character arc could include the hero, the reluctant hero, the rookie, the protector or guardian, the mother, really anyone who would have to change or shift their entire perspective after a major event completely rocks their world. There are endless story scenarios we can explore, but we're going to take a classic example, the rookie, who's just landed in the CIA. They're ready to make a real difference in the world. They're a typical goody-goody, raised in an upper-middle-class white picket fence home, does everything by the book. They're unbelievably smart, so naturally they attract the attention of the higher-ups and end up working an international case with a seasoned CIA agent and an entire ground unit. Nothing could be more perfect. At the start, their perspective is fixed. They have high moral fiber. Black is black, white is white, there's no gray area. They're self-righteous, and worst of all, they believe this means they're right most of the time, even when they're objectively wrong, which leads to short-sightedness and bad decision-making. From their perspective, they're living their truth the only way they know how. And they're going to work this case by the book and take down the bad guys, and everything's going to come full circle for them. But soon enough, everything begins to unravel when they get introduced to the morally corrupt underworld where the CIA operates as a casual, nonchalant customer. At this point, the pressures begin to mount and they're unable to adapt. They can't get their head around pandering to gang leaders, drug dealers, and dirty local politicians for slips of intel for the greater good. So the headstrong, naive rookie refuses to budge on their moralistic worldviews. They still believe they can operate within the bounds of their comfort levels and achieve the same outcome. So despite the rookie and their stalwart partner having similar characteristics and personalities, our rookie's perspective is severely limited by their inability to see the world for what it truly is. They lack experience and can't deal with what's expected of them. And what's worse is they truly believe that ultimately everyone always makes the right choice and the right decision. And relating almost directly to their inability to adapt, tension reaches a boiling point close to the midpoint of the story. Things go from bad to worse when they end up in a bad part of town chasing a lead, and the only way they can get the info is by paying off a known trafficker. And just as their partner is about to pay up, the rookie unexpectedly pulls a gun, and their partner ends up getting killed. And this partner is someone who served their country for decades, put away some of the baddest guys to ever exist. And this is when our rookie hits their absolute low. Until this point, they haven't been able to see the situation from a different perspective, but being torn with guilt and realizing that if they just went along with the plan, their partner would still be alive, they're actually forced to look at the situation from every angle. And after a much-needed time jump, you see they've spent the last 6 months at a desk on the 7th floor. Except things are going down with the rest of the team who is still in-country working the case. Turns out they've all been captured. And remember the trafficker who killed their partner? Yeah, they'll only talk to the rookie. PTSD flashbacks notwithstanding, our rookie rises to the challenge and slips into the country undetected by paying off all the right people, the contacts that their late partner introduced them to. So the rookie is in transition. Their perspective is evolving. When they were stuck behind that desk, they had a lot of time to think about why their partner, the ground unit, basically everyone in the CIA, were in as deep as they were in enemy territory. And it started to make sense that to figure out what's really going on, they'd have to infiltrate every underground and above board organization. So our rookie is now firmly engaging in murky gray territory. They're still a good person and still trying to do the right thing, but they now realize what they have to do to rescue their team. Remember, this is an off-book operation. They've actually been officially ordered not to do anything, but the last time they didn't trust their gut, they got someone good killed. After just a few seedy interactions, they see how doors to the underworld start flying open with a bit of cash and promises to look the other way. So after a fast-paced, action-packed couple of scenes, the team is safe, all is good, and the rookie has to shake hands with the bad guys and walk away. And they do it so they can live to fight another day. So the rookie's perspective from the start to the end of the story has shifted dramatically. Initially, they wanted to stay exactly true to who they are, their principles, values, beliefs, everything that informs their character. But by the end, they realize that who they are intrinsically and what they believe in hasn't ever changed. The only thing that has changed is the way they move through this new world and how they operate within it. Informed, adaptable, fluid, eyes wide open, and critically analytic. They know that in the long run, this new, updated perspective will make the world a better, safer place. And this is when they reach their character peak.